Good morning, everyone. First off, the NASDAQ hit new all-time highs. That's great, fine and dandy, but at the same time, if we look at the Russell 2000, I just want to point out that it kind of looks like it's trying to form a broadening formation overall. We'll see how this continues to play out. Oh, I should have made this a little bit longer. There we go. We'll see how this continues to play out, but as you can see, a broadening formation in the market's never good. Normally what happens, you stay in between this range bound, but eventually you test the upper trend line, and then you break down and move lower. And even though indexes had a nice intraday reversal and closed near the highs, I still had a lot of stops trigger intraday, and there were a lot of end-of-day sell signals, so make sure you check that out. On top of that, despite, once again, the NASDAQ hitting new highs, you have to remember, sentiment's very bullish here. The put-call ratio fell to 0.77. That's the lowest it's been in IBD since January 3rd when it was at 0.74. And the Investors Intelligence bulls are up to 63%, and the bears are under 17%. That's 3 weeks out of 4 above 60% there. And I tell you what, this is a huge divergence. That's a ton of bulls compared to bears. So keep all that in mind as we move on from here. Now, despite me feeling bearish up here because everything is so bullish looking, in the market, sentiment wise, I'm still going to obey my signals. So first, let's start off with the speculative trade this evening for Thursday session. PRCP is an earnings winner on February 7th. On February 8th, you can see that it did the exact same thing PXLW just did. I went long PXLW on the 6th, and you can see it's working its way higher. PRCP has a very similar situation. Now, I drew two trend lines here. It's a major breakout above long-term resistance. Resistance now should become support. And I say that because if it breaks down below support, it will probably trade back into the intraday range. So my only cut loss level on this is a move below 697. PRCP goes below 697, I am out of this trade. Now, PRCP has a history of holding its breakouts. As you can see here, as it broke down here, it consolidated from February to August, broke out on very strong volume from August to September, and then what happened? Previous resistance became support. So now I expect resistance to become support again. So nice follow through to the earnings victory. Nice bullish intraday reversal, closing in the upper end of the range, closing where we open, max green bop, heavy volume. I'm going long 1% of my account capital at 720. My only cut loss 697 because it's basically an earnings winner with a very nice chart. Now the next stock that I want to go over is AMRB. AMRB is a very high quality long signal. This is a CAN-SLIM quality long signal, and not just any kind of CAN-SLIM quality long signal. It has a composite rating of 96, an earnings per share rating of 98, relative strength rating of 88. A plus group relative strength rating, a B for sales, profit margin, return on equity, and accumulation distribution of B, giving it that 96 overall composite rating, meaning it's in the top 4% of all stocks in the market. Beautiful pocket pivot point signal today. That's this heavy blue line here. That's a bounce off the 10-day moving average on the highest volume in the past 10 sessions. A move from BOP from red to max green, and a bounce right off the 50-day moving average. Very, 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 very nice. So the first cut loss level is 1489, but my only cut loss level for me personally is going to be right here at 1455. So if AMRB closes below, let me get back there, 1455, the 125 low a day, I will be completely out of AMRB. I will have no stops on the books because I do not keep stops on regional banks. I accidentally set stops on GABC. My first stop was below 46.72. My final stop was 45.83. Intraday today, it's one of the stops that hit, but it was the only bad stop to hit because it shouldn't have been on the books. And by the end of the day, as you can see, we closed higher than not only where my stop hit, but where we opened. So no stops on the book. AMRB is very thin, so keep that in mind. Limit orders only. I'm going long at 15.23 on Thursday morning. If it gaps up and I don't get filled, I'm not chasing. My only cut loss level, once again, 1455, but you can use 1455 and 1489. Very high quality CAN-SLIM stock. Not confirmed in any scam, but the tertiary scam. So it's a 2% long position for being CAN-SLIM. But remember, limit orders only. And then the final long position, probably actually the best one overall, is TPIC. TPIC is a semi-canceling quality long signal. Its earnings per share is a little weak. The relative strength line also isn't that strong because it's a recent IPO. But overall, it's a very, very solid company. And it's also an IPO, which I give added weight to because IPOs can really, really move if they start to move. But TPIC has one issue with it. Earnings are either, I had one website say that they were tonight, February 8th on Maui. I have some sites saying that it's tomorrow, February 9th. But FinViz, what I mainly pay attention to, says it's February 15th. And if that's the case, we at least got a week to know before we're wrong. You can see that it's kind of breaking out of a cup with handle pattern, pocket pivot point signal, and breaking out above this basically flag pattern right here, ascending flag pattern. It's kind of got a double bottom support here. So with TPIC breaking out here, I want to see it hold these lows. So your first cut loss level can be today's low a day, 1810, and then your final cut loss level can be, I guess, 1779, this low right here. But for most people, I would recommend 1810. Me, I'm going to probably use 1810 also, unless it... I'm not quite sure, actually. So 1810 is what I recommend everybody else use, but I'm a hypocrite, and I will probably use 1779 on half the position. So 1810 on half the position, and then, or wait, was that 1806? My apologies, everyone. 1806. I wrote that down wrong in my notes I'm looking at. So 1806 is the first stop loss level for me. 1779 is my final stop loss level, but for everybody, I'm personally recommending everybody use that 1806 level. But nice breakout, but who knows when earnings are, making this kind of a crapshoot, but based on its current chart pattern, it should work out well. So TPIC, that's a 3% long signal, but I'm not going to put 3% of my account capital into it because I don't know when earnings is. So it'll probably be right around 2%. PRCP, that's going to be 1%. AMRB, that's going to be 2%. 2% CanSlim, AMRB. 3% TPIC, 2% for being CanSlim, 1% for being IPO, but drop it down to 2% since we're not quite, since it's only semi-CanSlim long, and since we're not sure of earnings, and then PRCP, 1%. But some pretty quality signals on a pretty mixed day in the market. I expect the market to start to turn lower. I hope I am wrong. I hope the IWM is not a precursor of things to come, and instead the NASDAQ is a harbinger of things to come for the rest of this tape. We'll see.